The letter trembled in my hands as I read it for the third time, still unable to process the words swimming before my eyes. My inheritance, nearly $500,000, had been quietly transferred to my twin sister's account 6 months ago. The same sister who'd spent the last year telling me to be patient, that Mom and Dad were working out the details of our shared inheritance. I'm Desiree, and this is how I discovered my perfect sister Talia had stolen my future. Did you know about this? I burst into Bowen's apartment, waving the letter I'd found buried in a stack of mail at my parents' house. My best friend looked up from his laptop, startled by my dramatic entrance. "Whoa, Des, what happened?" "Read this." I thrust the paper at him, pacing his living room while he scanned the document. The setting sun cast long shadows through his window, matching my darkening mood. "Holy shit," he whispered. "Your parents just gave it all to Talia?" "Not exactly." I stopped pacing, my voice bitter. "Talia convinced them she should manage my portion since I'm supposedly not responsible enough with money. Look at the date. This happened right after I quit my corporate job to start freelancing." Bowen's face darkened. "That's seriously messed up. Have you confronted them?" "Not yet." I sank onto his couch, memories flooding back unbidden. "You know what's funny? This isn't even surprising. It's just confirmation." "What do you mean?" "Remember my 10th birthday? When Talia got a horse and I got riding lessons on her horse?" I laughed, but it came out hollow. "Or high school graduation, when they bought her a car because she was valedictorian, and I got a laptop because second place wasn't quite good enough?" "Des, no, really, it's fine. I'm used to being the backup twin, the spare." I stood up again, unable to sit still. "But this is different. This is my future they handed over to her." My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil. Talia's text lit up my screen. "Family dinner tonight? Mom's making your favorite." "Look at this." I showed Bowen the message. "She's been doing this for months, playing nice, keeping me close, probably making sure I don't find out about the money." "What are you going to do?" I stared at the text, a plan already forming. "I'm going to that dinner, but first we need to stop at my apartment. I need to change into something perfect." 2 hours later, I walked into my parents' house wearing Talia's style, designer dress, elegant heels, subtle makeup, the kind of outfit she'd approve of, the kind that said responsible adult. "Desiree!" Mom rushed to hug me. "You look lovely, sweetheart." "Thanks, Mom." I hugged her back, fighting the urge to ask if she thought I looked responsible enough to manage my own inheritance. Talia swept in from the kitchen, immaculate as always in her cream silk blouse and tailored pants. "Des, I'm so glad you came." She moved to hug me, but I stepped back, maintaining my smile. "The letter was interesting reading," I said quietly. The color drained from her face. Behind her, Mom froze in the act of setting down a serving dish. "What letter?" Talia's voice was steady, but I caught the slight tremor in her hands. "The one about my inheritance. The money you convinced Mom and Dad to let you manage for me." I kept my voice light, pleasant. "You know, the one you had them sign while I was away at that freelance conference?" "Desiree, honey," Mom started, but I held up my hand. "No, let Talia explain. I'd love to hear how she justified taking control of my future." "It wasn't like that," Talia protested, her perfect composure cracking. "I was trying to protect you. You'd just quit your job. You weren't thinking clearly." "Stop." My voice cut through her excuses like a knife. "Just stop. For once in your life, stop pretending you're doing things for my own good." I turned to leave, but paused at the door. "You know what the worst part is? I actually believed you were on my side this time. Silly me, right?" As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Talia. "Please let me explain. You don't understand." I didn't reply. Instead, I called Bowen. "How'd it go?" "Exactly as expected." I started my car, a strange calm settling over me. "You know what? I'm done being the backup twin. It's time Talia learned what it feels like to lose something she thinks belongs to her." "What are you planning?" I smiled, watching the lights come on in my parents' house as the sun disappeared completely. "Something perfect." "I quit." The words felt surprisingly good coming out of my mouth as I stood in my boss's office, resignation letter in hand. After the inheritance revelation, staying in this dead-end job felt like another way of letting Talia win. But, Desiree, you're one of our best content writers, Marcus stammered, clearly caught off guard. Is this about the promotion? Because I can explain. The one you gave to Jenna last week? No, this isn't about that. I placed the letter on his desk. This is about me finally deciding to stop settling. As I packed up my desk, my phone lit up with another message from Talia. Mom's worried sick. Please call her. Delete. Bowen was waiting for me outside the office building, 2 coffee cups in hand. So, you actually did it? Yep. I took one of the cups, breathing in the familiar scent of my favorite latte. Thanks for being my getaway driver. Always. But are you sure about this? Quitting without another job lined up is pretty risky. I pulled out my laptop as we settled onto a bench in the nearby park. I've got 3 months of savings, and I've already started applying for senior positions at better companies. Plus, I hesitated, then pulled up a familiar website. Remember that marketing consulting business I wanted to start? The one Talia said was too risky? Watch this. I turned the screen toward him, showing my newly launched website. I've been working on it nights and weekends for the past month. Already have 2 potential clients interested. Bowen whistled. Damn, Des. You've been busy. I'm done letting other people define my limits. I closed my laptop just as my phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. Desiree, please, we need to talk about this. About what, Mom? About how you and Dad let Talia take control of my inheritance without even telling me? We were trying to protect you. You've always been so impulsive with money. I laughed bitterly. Impulsive? I've never missed a bill payment in my life. I put myself through grad school while working full-time. The only impulsive thing I've done was quit a soul-crushing job to try freelancing. Which proved our point. You gave up a stable career? I'm hanging up now, Mom. When you're ready to treat me like an adult, call me back. Bowen gave me a sympathetic look as I ended the call. You okay? No, but I will be. I pulled up my email, scanning through job listings. I need something big. Something that'll show them all I'm not just Talia's less successful twin. Speaking of Talia... Bowen nodded toward the street. My sister was walking toward us, looking perfectly put together as always. Desiree, we need to talk. She sat down uninvited, her designer purse perched on her lap. I just heard you quit your job. This is exactly why you stole my inheritance, I cut her off. Because I'm so irresponsible? I didn't steal anything. I'm protecting it for you. Look, she leaned forward, lowering her voice. I just bought that beautiful house in Riverside Heights. Once it's paid off, I'll help you get your own place. I stood up abruptly. You bought a house with my money? Our money, she corrected. And it's a great investment. In a few years, save it. I gathered my things, hands shaking with anger. You know what, Talia? Keep the money, keep the house, keep playing the perfect daughter. I'm done competing with you. As I walked away, I overheard her talking to Bowen. She's being ridiculous. You know how emotional she gets. This is exactly why Mom and Dad agreed with me about the money. I was halfway down the block when Bowen caught up with me. Des, wait. You need to hear something. What? After you left, Talia mentioned the house is technically under a corporation name for tax purposes. She's just renting it back from the company. I stopped walking. What company? Murphy Heights LLC or something. Why? A slow smile spread across my face. Because, my dear friend, I think I just found my way to beat Talia at her own game. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd saved months ago but never used. Hi, is this Mateo Rogers, the real estate investor? I have a business proposition for you. Bowen raised an eyebrow. What are you planning? Something perfectly calculated, I replied, watching Talia's retreating figure in the distance. For once, I'm going to be the twin who comes out on top. Congratulations, you're hired. The words I'd been hoping to hear came through my phone's speaker as I paced around my apartment. The marketing director position at Rivers & Associates would more than double my previous salary. Thank you so much. I can't wait to start, I replied, trying to keep my voice professional while doing a silent victory dance. As soon as the call ended, I texted Bowen. I got it! My phone rang immediately. Details. Now, he demanded. Full benefits, stock options, and get this, they're giving me a signing bonus. Des, that's amazing. We need to celebrate. Dinner tonight? Can't. I'm meeting with that real estate investor, Mateo. But tomorrow? Deal. And hey, have you told your family about the new job? I snorted. Why would I? So Talia can explain why it's not as impressive as her career? 3 hours later, I sat across from Mateo Rogers in a quiet coffee shop downtown. He looked exactly like his LinkedIn photo. Sharp suit, carefully styled hair, calculating eyes. So, he said, stirring his espresso, you want to buy your sister's house without her knowing it's you. Is that possible? He leaned back, studying me. Legally? Yes. The house is owned by a holding company that's looking to sell. But why the secrecy? Let's just say I want to be sure the deal goes through without emotional complications. Interesting? He pulled out his tablet, swiping through some documents. You know, your sister wasn't exactly forthcoming about certain aspects of the property when she bought it. What do you mean? He glanced around before lowering his voice. The house had some issues. Foundation problems she didn't disclose to the holding company when she started renting. I was the agent who handled that deal. And you're telling me this because I believe in karma. He smiled thinly. The asking price is $850,000. But given these undisclosed issues, we could probably get it for much less. Say, $720,000? I did some quick math. With my new salary, signing bonus, and savings, I could make this work. And you can keep my name out of it? I have a shell company we can use. Your sister will never know who the real buyer is until you want her to. As we discussed details, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Talia told us you got a new job. Why didn't you say anything? Please come to dinner Sunday. I showed Mateo the text. See what I mean about emotional complications? He nodded sympathetically. Family business is always messy. Speaking of which, he hesitated. There's something else you should know about your sister. What? The real reason she got such a good deal on that house initially? She had leverage over the previous owner. Information that could have ruined his reputation. I sat back, stunned. She blackmailed him? Let's just say she's not as perfect as she appears. He gathered his papers. Think about the offer. But don't wait too long. Other buyers are interested. Later that evening, I sat in my apartment, staring at Mom's text. Finally, I replied, Sorry, can't make dinner. Too busy with the new job. My phone rang almost immediately. Desiree, Mom's voice was strained. Please don't shut us out. We're proud of you getting this new position. Really? Did Talia approve of it first? That's not fair. Your sister loves you. She's just trying to control me, to keep me in her shadow, to steal my inheritance and buy herself a fancy house. The house is an investment for both of you. Right, an investment she made with my money, without my knowledge. I took a deep breath. Mom, I have to go. I have a meeting to prepare for. After hanging up, I called Bowen. Remember how we wondered if we should feel bad about my plan to buy Talia's house? Yeah? Turns out she blackmailed the previous owner to get it in the first place. Holy shit, what are you gonna do? I opened my laptop, pulling up my banking information. I'm going to call Mateo tomorrow and make an offer. I started typing an email to my new bank. It's time for Little Miss Perfect to learn what it feels like to be on the other side of manipulation. Des, just be careful, okay? You're playing with fire here. No, I corrected him, hitting send on the email requesting a mortgage pre-approval. I'm playing Talia's game, and for once, I'm going to win. My phone buzzed with another text from Talia. Heard about your new job. We should talk about investing your signing bonus wisely. I deleted the message without responding. Soon, very soon, she'd learn what it felt like to have someone else controlling her future. The offer's been accepted, Mateo announced over the phone. Congratulations, you're about to become your sister's landlord. I gripped my phone tighter, heart racing. She really has no idea? None. The paperwork's all going through Pacific Shore Holdings, my shell company. As far as Talia knows, she's just getting a new corporate landlord. I allowed myself a small smile. Perfect. When do we close? 3 weeks. But heads up, your family's annual charity gala is this weekend, right? Might want to work on your poker face. I froze. How did you know about that? I've crossed paths with your sister before, more than just the house deal. His voice turned serious. Be careful at that gala. Talia has a way of finding out things she shouldn't. The warning echoed in my mind as I entered the grand ballroom Saturday evening. The annual Murphy Family Foundation Gala was Talia's crown jewel, her chance to show off her philanthropic side to all of Hartford's elite. Desiree, Mom waved me over to their table. You look beautiful, sweetheart. I smoothed down my midnight blue gown, deliberately chosen to contrast with Talia's signature white. Thanks, Mom. Des. Talia air-kissed my cheek. I'm so glad you came. I was worried after, well, you know. Wouldn't miss it, I replied sweetly. By the way, how's the house? A flicker of something, guilt, worry, crossed her face. It's perfect. Actually, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. The holding company that owns it is selling, but I'm sure I can convince the new owners to keep me as a tenant. Oh? And how do you plan to do that? More blackmail? Talia's glass froze halfway to her lips. What did you say? Nothing? Just wondering if you'll use the same tactics you used on the previous owner. Her face went pale. Who told you? Ladies? A tall man in an expensive suit approached our table. Talia, the director of the Children's Hospital would love to discuss your donation pledge. Of course. Talia recovered quickly, but her hands were shaking slightly as she stood. We'll finish this conversation later, Des. I excused myself to the bathroom, needing a moment alone. As I touched up my lipstick, I overheard voices from the adjacent powder room. Can't believe Talia's pulling this off, a woman was saying. Using her sister's inheritance to fund her charitable donations? That's cold, even for her. Shh, but did you hear about the house? Apparently she's got dirt on half the real estate board. I stepped out of the bathroom and straight into Bowen, who'd been hovering nearby. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. She's using my money for her donations, I hissed. All those charitable pledges she's been making? That's my inheritance she's giving away. Des, no, this ends now. I pulled out my phone and called Mateo. Move up the closing. I don't care what it takes. I want to own that house before she can spend another penny of my money. Desiree? My mother's voice made me spin around. What are you talking about? What house? Talia appeared behind her, face frozen in her perfect society smile. Yes, sis, what house? You really want to do this here? I challenged. In front of all your adoring fans? Girls, Mom pleaded, please. No, Mom. I want to hear what kind of scheme my dear sister is plotting now. Talia stepped closer, dropping her voice. Careful, Des. You're not the only one who can dig up secrets. Funny you should mention digging. I smiled sweetly. How's that foundation problem in your house? The one you forgot to mention to the holding company? The color drained from her face. How did you... Ladies and gentlemen, the event coordinator's voice boomed through the speakers. Please take your seats for the donation announcements. This isn't over, Talia whispered as she turned away. No, I agreed, watching her walk to the podium. It's just beginning. My phone buzzed. A text from Mateo. Closing moved up to next week, but there's something else you need to see. Old emails between Talia and your parents about the inheritance. It's worse than you thought. I looked up at my sister, now beaming as she announced another generous donation in the Murphy family name. Soon she'd learn that every penny she'd pledged would be coming from her own pocket, not mine. You sure you want to go through with this? Bowen asked quietly. I watched Talia bask in the applause, knowing each cheer was bought with my stolen future. More than ever. The house is yours, Mateo declared, sliding the keys across his desk. Congratulations on becoming a landlord. I picked up the keys, their weight feeling significant in my palm. And those emails you mentioned? He pulled out a manila envelope. Found these during the title search. They were accidentally included in the property documentation. Are you sure you want to see them? I opened the envelope with trembling hands, pulling out a stack of printed emails. The first one made my blood run cold. From Talia to Mom. Subject: Desiree's portion. Mom, I know you're worried, but trust me. Des isn't ready for this responsibility. Remember the startup she wanted to join last year? She would have lost everything. I'm protecting her from herself. Besides, I have plans for the money that will benefit both of us. There's more, Mateo said quietly. Keep reading. Each email revealed more manipulation, more lies. Talia hadn't just convinced our parents to give her control, she'd orchestrated a systematic campaign to undermine my credibility for years. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. Des? The property management company just informed me they're doing a final walkthrough tomorrow. Something about new ownership? Talia's voice was tense. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? Why would I? I kept my voice neutral. I'm not responsible enough to handle real estate dealings, remember? Cut the attitude. I need to know if you're involved in this. Goodbye, Talia. I hung up and turned to Mateo. How long should I wait before telling her? The new rental agreement needs to be signed by the end of the week. He hesitated. But there's something else you should see first. He led me upstairs to what would now be Talia's rented house. The place was immaculate, exactly what you'd expect from my perfect sister. But Mateo headed straight for a built-in bookcase in the study. Watch this, he said, pulling out a specific book. The bookcase swung forward slightly, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a leather-bound journal. Is this... Your sister's diary. Found it during the inspection. Normally, I wouldn't show this to anyone, but given the circumstances... I opened it to a random page and started reading. Another perfect dinner, another perfect speech, another perfect lie. Mom and Dad beam at me while Des sits there, trying so hard not to show how much it hurts. Sometimes I want to scream at them. Don't they see how their favoritism is destroying us both? But I can't stop. The moment I show weakness, everything falls apart. This can't be real, I whispered. Keep reading, Mateo urged. The inheritance money. I told myself I was protecting her, but am I just protecting myself? If Des succeeds on her own, what does that make me? The golden child who needed every advantage to stay ahead. Bowen's voice from the doorway made me jump. I thought I'd find you here. How did you... Mateo called me. Said you might need a friend after reading those emails. He looked at the diary in my hands. What's that? I handed it to him. Turns out the perfect sister isn't so perfect after all. Des, he said after reading a few pages, this changes things. Does it? She still stole my inheritance. She still manipulated our parents. True, but... My phone interrupted him. Another text from Talia. Please tell me you're not behind this. I can't lose this house. There are things you don't understand. I stared at the message, then at the diary, then at the keys in my hand. What would you do? Bowen sat down in one of Talia's expensive armchairs. Honestly, I'd think very carefully about what victory looks like here. Meaning? Meaning you have a choice. You can destroy her, like she nearly destroyed you, or what? Or you can be better than her. He picked up the diary. This shows she's human, Des. Flawed, scared, and human. I walked to the window, looking out at the manicured garden Talia had so carefully maintained. I need to think. Don't think too long, Mateo advised. That rental agreement needs a signature, either from her or from whoever replaces her. My phone buzzed again, this time with an email from Mom. Talia's crying in my kitchen. Whatever's happening with the house, please. She's still your sister. I looked at the diary, the keys, the emails exposing years of manipulation. The tools for perfect revenge were all in my hands. Well? Bowen asked softly. What's it going to be? I picked up my phone and started typing a message to Talia. We need to talk. Come to your house tomorrow at noon. Come alone. The perfect sister was about to learn just how imperfect life could be. Talia arrived at exactly noon, her perfect composure betrayed by dark circles under her eyes. I was already waiting in her living room, the diary and emails spread out on her expensive coffee table. What is all this? She stopped short at the sight of her hidden journal. How did you? Surprise, I said, holding up the keys. I'm your new landlord. She sank onto the couch, her designer purse sliding to the floor. You bought the house? How? With my new salary. Turns out I'm not as financially irresponsible as you made everyone believe. I picked up the stack of emails. These were very enlightening, by the way. Des isn't ready for this responsibility. She'll just waste it on another crazy business idea. I can explain. Oh, I'm sure you can. You're excellent at explaining things, Talia, at making everything sound perfectly reasonable. I opened her diary to a marked page. But how would you explain this? Her face went white as I started reading aloud. Sometimes I lie awake wondering if Des would have succeeded more if I hadn't worked so hard to hold her back. But I can't stop. Her failure is the foundation of my success. Stop, her voice cracked. Please. Why should I? You never stopped. Not when you convinced Mom and Dad I couldn't handle my own inheritance. Not when you used my money to make yourself look generous at charity events. You don't understand. She stood up, pacing. Everyone expects perfection from me. You got to be the free spirit, the creative one. I had to be the responsible one, the successful one. So you decided to steal my future to secure yours? I was protecting us both. Bullshit. I stood up too. You were protecting your image, your perfect life, your control. Fine. She whirled to face me. Yes, I manipulated things. Yes, I used your money. Because the moment you started succeeding on your own, people started asking questions. Why isn't Talia starting her own business? Why isn't Talia taking risks? I couldn't let that happen. Well, it's happening now. I pulled out a document. This is your new rental agreement. She grabbed it, scanning quickly. This rent is double what I'm paying now. Actually, it's market rate. But don't worry, every penny will go to charity, real charity, not your performative donations. You can't do this. I already did. Oh, and I've arranged for Uriah Blake, the actual philanthropist, to oversee the charitable distributions. He was very interested in the concept of karmic justice. Talia sank back onto the couch, her perfect facade crumbling. So this is your revenge? Making me pay through the nose to live in my own house? No, this is justice, but... I hesitated, thinking of her diary entries. There's another option. She looked up. What? We tell the truth, all of it. To Mom and Dad, to your society friends, to everyone. No more perfect Talia. No more overshadowed Desiree. Just two sisters who both screwed up in different ways. You want me to ruin my reputation? I want you to be real for once in your life. She picked up her diary, running her fingers over the worn cover. And if I refuse? Then sign the lease, pay the doubled rent, and watch your perfect life slowly drain away into causes you can't take credit for. My phone buzzed, a text from Bowen. How's it going? Give me a minute, Talia said quietly, still staring at her diary. I stepped onto her back patio, calling Bowen. She's thinking it over, and if she chooses to fight, then I release copies of everything. The emails, the diary, proof of her blackmail schemes, to everyone who matters in her carefully curated world. Des! Talia's voice called from inside. I have to go, I told Bowen. Time to see if the perfect sister can handle being human. I walked back in to find Talia holding both documents, the rental agreement and a confession letter I'd drafted. She looked up at me, tears streaking her mascara. You know what the worst part is? She said softly. I've been so jealous of your freedom, your courage to fail and try again. I've been living in a prison of perfection, and I used your inheritance to gild the bars. She picked up a pen. So, I asked, which is it going to be, the lease or the truth? Her hand hovered between the documents as she made the biggest decision of her perfectly planned life. Talia reached for the confession letter, then stopped. Can we do both? Both? I'll sign the lease. I deserve that karma. But I also want to tell the truth. She grabbed the pen with trembling fingers. Starting with Mom and Dad, right now. 20 minutes later, we sat in our parents' living room. Mom kept glancing between us while Dad stood by the fireplace, arms crossed. "What's so urgent?" he asked. Talia took a deep breath. "I've been lying to you, to everyone." She pulled out her diary. "And it's time you knew the truth." For the next hour, everything came out. The manipulation, the inheritance scheme, the blackmail. With each revelation, our parents' faces grew more ashen. "I don't understand," Mom whispered. "Talia, why would you do this?" "Because you taught me to." Talia's voice was sharp. "Perfect grades, perfect behavior, perfect daughter. Do you know what that does to someone?" "Don't blame us for your choices," Dad started, but I cut him off. "Really, Dad? You never wondered why Talia got so desperate to maintain her image? Why she felt she had to sabotage me to stay on top?" "I didn't raise either of you to—" "You raised us to compete," I interrupted. "Every comparison, every, 'why can't you be more like your sister?' Every time you praised one of us to shame the other. This is the result." Mom started crying. "We thought we were motivating you both to excel." "Well, congratulations." Talia's laugh was bitter. "I excelled at manipulation, and Des excelled at surviving it." "And now?" Dad asked quietly. I pulled out the lease agreement. "Now Talia pays market rate rent to live in the house she bought with my stolen inheritance. Every penny goes to charity." "And," Talia added, "I'm stepping down from the foundation board. No more perfect philanthropist facade." "You can't!" Mom looked horrified. "What will people say?" "They'll say the truth," I replied. "That the Murphy family is finally dealing with their issues instead of hiding them behind designer clothes and charity galas." Dad sat down heavily. "How did we not see this coming?" "Because you saw what you wanted to see," Talia said, signing the lease. "Just like I did." My phone buzzed. Bowen asking for an update. I texted back quickly. "Truth bombs dropping, stand by." "There's more," Talia said suddenly. "The startup Des wanted to join last year, the one I convinced you was too risky, it just got valued at 50 million. Mom gasped. "But you said—" "I lied. Because if Des succeeded on her own, what would that make me?" Talia turned to me. "I'm sorry. For everything." "Sorry doesn't fix it," I replied. "I know. But this might help." She pulled out her phone, made a few taps, and showed me the screen. She'd just transferred half her savings to my account. "It's not all of the inheritance, but it's a start." Dad cleared his throat. "We should have protected you both better. From each other and from our expectations." "Little late for that," I said, but without heat. "Maybe," Mom wiped her eyes, "but it's not too late to do better." Talia stood up. "I'm calling an emergency foundation board meeting tomorrow. They need to know everything." "Your reputation," Mom began, "is built on lies," Talia finished. "Time to build something real instead." As we left our parents' house, Talia turned to me. "I know this doesn't fix everything between us." "No, it doesn't. But maybe—" She hesitated. "Maybe we can start over? Not as perfect sister and backup twin, but just as— sisters?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. The perfect makeup couldn't hide her exhaustion. The designer outfit couldn't conceal her relief at finally dropping the act. "We can try," I said finally. "But first, you need to make things right with everyone you've manipulated." "I know, starting with the foundation board tomorrow." She managed a weak smile. "Want to come watch your perfect sister fall apart in public?" "Wouldn't miss it." My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Mateo. "How'd it go?" I looked at Talia, who was already making calls to arrange tomorrow's meeting. For the first time in years, she looked human. "It went better than expected," I replied. "Turns out even perfect people can change." "And you?" Talia asked quietly. "Can you ever forgive me?" I thought about the diary entries, the desperate need to maintain perfection at any cost. "Ask me again after you've made things right." She nodded, understanding this wasn't the end, but maybe, just maybe, it was a beginning. "Ready?" I asked Talia as we stood outside the foundation's boardroom. "No." She smoothed her simple black dress. No designer labels today. But I'm doing it anyway. Inside, the board members sat expectantly. These were Hartford's elite, the people who'd worshipped perfect Talia for years. Mom and Dad sat in the back, looking uncomfortable. Thank you all for coming, Talia began, her voice shaking slightly. I've called this meeting because I need to confess something. For the next 30 minutes, she laid it all out. The stolen inheritance, the manipulated donations, the carefully crafted lies. With each revelation, the room grew colder. So every donation I've made this year, she concluded, was with money I stole from my sister. Silence. Then chaos erupted. This is outrageous! We trusted you. What about our reputation? If I may, a deep voice cut through the noise. Uriah Blake, the city's most respected philanthropist, stood up. I've been briefed on the situation, and I have a proposal. All eyes turned to him. Instead of trying to bury this scandal, let's turn it into something meaningful. He walked to the front. Desiree and Talia have agreed to transform this foundation. No more society parties masquerading as charity. Real work, real change. The rental income from Talia's house, my house now, will fund actual grassroots programs, I added. No overhead, no fancy galas, just direct support to people who need it. And I'll be stepping down as chair, Talia said. But not before helping transition the foundation into something authentic. More murmuring, but different now. Thoughtful rather than angry. I have one condition, I announced. The foundation's first project will be supporting young entrepreneurs who've been held back by family expectations or financial gatekeeping. People who just need one person to believe in them. Talia looked at me, understanding dawning in her eyes. Like that startup you wanted to join. Exactly. I'll match whatever funds the house generates, Uriah offered. Dollar for dollar. The board members exchanged glances. Finally, Margaret, the vice chair, spoke up. Well, I must say this is unprecedented, but perhaps that's exactly what we needed. My phone buzzed. Bowen had sent a link to a viral post. Privileged sister confesses to inheritance theft, transforms family foundation. The story was already spreading. You leaked it? Talia asked, seeing the post. No need. 3 board members were live tweeting your confession. She laughed, a real laugh, not her perfect society titter. Of course they were. As the meeting wrapped up, Mom approached us. Girls, She struggled for words. It's okay, Mom, I said. We're figuring it out. But differently this time, Talia added. No more perfect daughter, no more family competition. Dad joined us, looking older than I'd ever seen him. We failed you both, but watching you today, maybe you'll succeed in spite of us, not because of us. Actually, I said, we might succeed because we finally stopped trying to be what everyone else wanted. Uriah interrupted politely. Sorry, but the press is outside. They want statements from both of you. Talia turned to me, panic flickering across her face. I don't know how to do this without my perfect mask. Then don't do it alone, I took her hand. We face it together, imperfect but honest. She squeezed my hand. Lead the way, sis. As we walked toward the press conference, Bowen caught my arm. You know this changes everything, right? The foundation, your relationship, your whole family dynamic. Good, I replied. It needed changing. And Talia, do you trust her? I watched my sister talking quietly with Uriah, probably getting advice on handling the press. Her designer mask was gone, replaced by something raw, but real. Trust takes time, I said. But at least now we're both standing in the light. Ready? Talia called. I joined her at the podium, facing the cameras. Ready. She gripped my hand again as the questions started flying. For the first time since we were kids, we weren't competing. We were just sisters, trying to fix what was broken. Miss Murphy, is it true about the inheritance theft? How long has this been going on? What happens to the foundation now? I stepped forward. Let me tell you a story about 2 sisters, perfectionism, and the price of keeping up appearances. But more importantly, let me tell you about what happens when you finally stop pretending and start healing. Talia smiled, a real imperfect smile, and began to speak her truth.